Hello, this video is going to be about displaying two or more data types at the same time in one repeating group. For example, you're building something like Facebook, where in the newsfeed you might see notifications, new posts, as well as friend requests you accepted. But if you look on a repeating group, you can see you can only search for users or classes or one of the types, but not all three types. So how could you potentially solve this? So one way to do this is to create a new data type, which we'll just call newsfeed. And then this data type is linked to all the other data types. So let's first make the other data types like comment to friend request and 3 post. Okay, and then we go over to option set to do type of newsfeed item. Option sets are used when you know that there's going to be 3, 5, or 20 selections, but definitely not more. So here we know that there's only going to be a few different types of newsfeed items. So one of them will be called comment, one of them will be called friend request, and my memory is poor, one of them is called post. Of course, you can add however many you wish. Okay, and so now the trick is in your repeating group, you can now just search for all newsfeed items. Okay, but before this trick works, we have to do a couple of things. So here we do type of item. So we're inside newsfeed, and the type of item is going to be type of newsfeed item, the option set we created. And then we have got linked comment, which is the comment. Then we have the linked post, which is the post. And we have the linked friend request, which is the friend request. Okay. And usually a good way to do this is also to have a kind of description. If you want to make it even more sophisticated, you might even have an icon associated with comments, such as the comment icon, a friend request, like a friend icon, and a post icon. So it's easy to differentiate between the two as a user or using colors. But let's go ahead and do this. So we can just search for newsfeed items without constraints. And then here we can show the description. This we can always do, but the question kind of becomes when we click the kind of more button. In this case, we're just going to use an arrow, right arrow, kind of what happens when we click the arrow. And so we will basically use a conditional to go to different, so we can either go to different pages depending on if this newsfeed item as its type is a post, friend request, or comment. And yeah, that's probably the best way to do it. But we're not going to do new pages, we're just going to do 3 different groups. Of course, these 3 groups can be exactly behind each other. So we're going to have one group expecting a comment, one group expecting a friend request, and one group expecting a post. But of course, they can be behind each other or on different pages. Okay, and now when we click it, we basically use display data in the group comment. We do current sales newsfeeds linked comment. We only do that when current sales newsfeeds type of item is comment. Okay, and then we can copy that over. And in this case, do friend request, current sales link friend request only when type of item is friend request. The same here with post. Okay, so we can display more information in these cells when that's clicked. Of course, the other part we have to do is whenever we create something new in the database, we actually have to fill all these fields here underneath newsfeed, as well the ones underneath comment. So of course, a comment can have a text as an example, and a friend request can also have a text, or it can have a user associated, right? It can be slightly different to a comment or post associated. Um, and this can have an image. Okay, and then so we need some place where people create the data types. For example, a friend request would be created if someone clicks the word friend, or maybe accept friend. And so in that case, you would have to do two things, right? You would first have to create the friend request with maybe the user associated, whatever. For example, current user can be anything, right? But then you also have to create the newsfeed item and link to the friend request that you just created. And then also have a description, which is new friend request by, and then it can be, for example, a result of step one's user associated, and then maybe their username if we have one. We have this field, we don't have it yet, so we just create it. So kind of, we're always going to have to create two items. So the same will be when somewhere in your app, someone clicks create post. So of course, there will be some kind of input and perhaps picture uploader. And so when we click create post, again, we create a new post in the database with the image of the picture uploader and the input. And now again, in the second line, we create a new newsfeed item, which links the post we just created in the first step, and then also has as this description the same text. Okay, of course, we can here do something like reset inputs. I think the final one was comment. So comment would be created again somewhere in your app where you create a comment button. And then what would happen is, again, you would have a third input. It's called input C. So again, you would create a comment with the text of input C's value, but you would also create a newsfeed item with the comment in step one, perhaps as the description, also the comments value. What we forgot to add here is to the newsfeed item also we have to do what type of item it is. So this is a comment, so we do type comment. When it's a post instead, we do type equals post. And when we accept a friend request, then type equals friend request. This is important, this last step, because otherwise this condition up here where we click for more info to see more about this newsfeed item, sorry about WhatsApp. So when we click here on the, of course, this will only work if we actually fill this data type. And what's nice about the search, so when input, I believe this is A, when inputs A value is not empty. So here it was important that for the newsfeed item, you might have seen we always had a description. So in this description, whenever we create new things, we try to fill that description too. And that allows us to also perform a search in this new data type where the description contains the keywords in the search value. So we can search for everything description which contains maybe a username or something. Okay, so for example, to further make the description good, you could also add a username like comma username of whoever created the post in the first step. Okay, but I will also link to another video I have on kind of adding a search index specifically for the reason that you might not only want to search for what's inside of the description, but also which user created it or what's inside a second input you have within every data type. Okay, now of course, using again the conditionals, we can, when the type of item is, for example, comment, we can change the icon, as I said, or we could also change, of course, the color. It's friend requests person. Do we have that? User is the right one. And here we could change the icon color to, I don't know. And here, post is, I cannot think of it. Maybe something like this, and we change the color to pink. Okay, and then here we don't have to fill these groups necessarily. Let's just go ahead and do it. So this one was just for the comments. This one was for the post. You see Bubble immediately adjusted because we use text as a data type. Here it also works because immediately Bubble recognizes for these data types I acted very uniformly on purpose. We called one text, we called another text, and always had one called text, so then it's easy to copy paste things. Okay, and I think we will be able to go into testing. So of course, there's no data types yet, so let's click accept friend request. Then we have a new data type called newsfeed as well as friend request. Let's click that twice. Let's do a new post. Lovely. It's one post, and the second post is politicians are crazy. Very sad, you know. Politicians used to be awesome people. Let's make that happen again. Hope someone of you goes into politics. Football is boring. Actually, I love football, whatever. And comment would be, I don't know, football is not boring. So again, we created a new comment, we created two new posts, and we created some friend requests, and we can immediately see the different data types and the different icons. And when we click them, I think the groups currently, yeah, I think even when we click them, it won't show anything. We don't have a friend request with any text. But here, the world is lovely would show this group or would go to that page, whereas football is not boring as this group. So this shows how to easily. Then I think we had football, so we can search for football and see both items. So we see also this search working for two different data types. So I hope you liked this video. I hope also you press the subscribe button to kind of help this channel out. And for tips to improve on Bubble, do check out my site blister.com. Have a lovely day. Cheers.